Hello, and welcome to part 2 of my session review. Playing 10-cent, 25-cent deep stack pot limit Omaha. If you haven't seen part 1, you should watch it. It's really good. So I continue with my mission of 3-betting every single hand. And I flopped pretty marginal here. I flopped just a pair, but I bet it. And this is one of the problems with 3-betting every hand. As fun as it is, you do create a lot of bloated pots out of position. You're not going to hit every flop, though it's fun to try. So here, I don't know if I like betting this turn or not. I don't think he's going to give me a lot of credit because I have been so aggressive. I don't know if that card really smashes his flop calling range. Probably didn't turn a boat because he probably would have raised me on the flop. Could easily have some like pair and a gutty. He's shown he'll peel with mid pair before. Maybe this was the hand I was thinking of calling with on the river. It is a really good card for an overpair. So if he thinks I've got an overpair, I did 3-bet pre. But I think it's fine to just give up there. You can't win every pot. And again, opening very wide. And I fold this here. I think that's a good fold. I don't like the medium pair. That suits. So here we get a new player. And I remember being very surprised that I win this hand. Obviously, my pre-flop play I think is pretty standard. I don't open too crazy light, small blind versus big blind three-handed. But I've just got so much high card strength and the king suit, so pretty good hand for three-handed. And obviously the flop I'm in love with. I've got a nice blocker against sets, and I've got the top 3 pair. I'm hating the fact that he calls the turn, and I wasn't really betting the turn as a bluff. I'm not trying to fold out, you know, like pocket eights or something. I'm not trying to fold out a baby flush. I'm betting sort of because I don't want to check call down, because I guess it's possible I can fold out like a straight, although I'd probably have to bet twice to do that, and I'm not really interested in betting twice. There is some merit to protecting my hand against like ace 9-10 or whatever, or even ace king queen, you know, hands that have some outs here. And I think I was going to check fold the river here. The thing is, I have induced twice, and that river card doesn't change much, but and my opponent's completely unknown, so I hate like just showing weakness and giving up, but I think his turn call is pretty strong enough that I can fold the river, and then he just leaves. Obviously, I would have 3-bet this hand. And garbage aces, so I open, and I just check to give up, and I think check to give up again on the river. Kind of weak, I guess, but I don't want to create a huge pot, just one pair. Gonna continuation bet this really dry board with, you know, almost everything I've got, but certainly with an overpair. This hand isn't interesting. I'm not in it. I don't see the cards either. So that's some big pairs quite frequently in a row there. So here I bet. It's a pretty benign turn card. On the flop, especially this deep, there's no way I can stack off here. So I guess I've got a bet fold, which sucks because I've got a fairly strong hand and some equity. Having the 4 is actually pretty nice too. Not a huge deal, but certainly it improves my hand. The gut shot is fairly important. Aces with a draw, even a weak draw like a gut shot, change significantly. When you're behind, you're not nearly as far behind. When you're ahead, you're a little further ahead. And so I like my decision to bet again here. And there's really no reason to think my aces aren't best too when he didn't raise the flop. So pretty standard button open and really strong flop here, top 2. So I'm probably getting it in even for just under 200 times. In certain situations that could be a link. I would need some more information on my opponent to fold that, I think. Although it was a really dry board, so aside from like a low wrap or something, a low weak wrap, there's not really a ton you could have to get it in with, too. Certainly also for 200 times. And pretty standard open, I think. He 3-bets really small. And, okay. So he 3-bets really small. He's done this before. Possibly that's his standard 3-bet size. Monster flop. So I think I don't really see any merit in just flatting the flop. Now if he comes over me again on the flop, then I'm in sort of like a pickle. But he's going to be betting the flop so wide, anything he's got basically. And this is a flop that I will definitely put pressure on with a weak draw or just air against a pre-flop, a rare pre-flop 3-better. I mean, I am these like really ultra coordinated draw heavy boards. I am not always bluff raising them, but it's definitely something I'm going to be doing. And I love the turn. I'm a little worried that I just got counter for the chop, but I've got 2 pair and a really weak flush draw, so obviously I'm going to keep on the gas. And I'm a little relieved to see it fold too, just because the pot was getting kind of big. And if he check raised the turn there, it would be a really gross spot. So super weak open, just shows that I'm pretty much opening whatever. And this hand I certainly would have folded if he raised. So kings, standard 3-bet. I get cold called by this guy, which is it's really interesting. Probably means he's on tilt. Could mean he's got like a pretty good like double-suited connected high card hand or something, but probably means he's just like F it, taking a flop with some trash. Pretty great flop too. So I just half pot it. I like to 2/3 pot most of the time, but when there's a flush or a full house on the board, I think half potting it's good. This is a lockdown board. There's no draws. I think even a 3rd pot could be very worth considering here. Although you got some concern there that you might induce a bluff that you really don't want to do because you're folding to a raise here, unless you've got some sort of crazy dynamic going on. So happy to take it down. I like my sizing there, but could go smaller even. So here we've got, you get to see their cards. I like Duke's open. I like Koresh's flat pre. Neither are exceptionally strong hands, but they're both definitely worth playing. Now, when it checks back, I'm going to lead as Koresh. I don't mind the check back here. Duke's got some nice back doors, so he can turn stuff, and you know, you can bet for that reason too, just to keep barreling. You know, it is sort of weak to just passively check. This isn't a board that it's particularly easy to smash, so you know, you're worried about like 2 pair in a set, and like a pair wrap or something. Like a pair good wrap, like 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are the hands that can check raise you, right? So aside from that, you know, like a lot of like weak 1 pair hands might peel, give up on the turn on this board, and there's not like there's no flush draw, so there's no, you know, gut shot flush draws check raising you, which sucks. And this is really interesting, actually, really interesting line to check call with the ace. I guess it's he's more worried about being beat than anything. Checks back the flop. Anyway, so I open kings, weak kings, and it's about as standard as can be. Flop top set, bet the turn, and bet the river. And I think against this guy, I mean, obviously flop, turn bets, what else are you going to do? That's good check raise. But I didn't have any indication that this was a hyper aggro opponent, against whom a check raise might be best. So bet. And on the river, I think I was going to fold to a raise if he did raise. My opponent struck me as passive. I think his stats were like 77. Over only 10 hands, but still at this point, and I just didn't see him bluff raising the river there. So I guess maybe there's some concern he could value raise worse. But value raising, I don't think is really enough to consider, because there's a lot more combos of Jack 10 than there are of sets. Which I don't think he's going to value raise any 2 pair. After I bet. So okay, this is somewhat interesting decision, I think. With weak queens, I just fold to the raise pre. So queen, I got a suit. I'm gonna be in really bad relative position after the flop, squeezed between the pre-flop raiser and these guys. And he could bet, and then I've got to make my decision. So knowing what those guys are doing, I'd be calling basically just to set mine, which might be profitable, but I'm gonna pass on that. So we stand it open, I think. And now I wouldn't have minded a 3-bet by my opponent here, pre-flop, with you know, 1 moderate suit. It's only king high. You got 3 of them, but you got 4 connected high cards. It's blind versus blind, and you're going to be in position. So build a pot that you're probably going to win. I also wouldn't have minded a flop raise here, and that looks a little results oriented, but you really want to just call down with a weak marginal 1-pair hand. I mean, yes, you keep the pot small with a hand that doesn't play a big pot, but really you can accomplish, you know, a lot just by raising the flop to like 225. You're going to fold out, you know, maybe even some overpairs, but, you know, a lot of hands that you beat that have some, you know, high card, maybe a pair with some kickers that fold, and you're going to be in position, so you're going to be able to, you know, you can only make, you don't have to bet much, like make it 250 or something, but I don't know if that's just results oriented talking. and I just check back, and he checks it back. So doesn't attack the weakness. I guess he had, some showdown value, so he didn't need to. Obviously, crush this flop, and I bet half pot. I like my sizing there. Yeah, that's what I would bet with anything. So, of course, I think I do have to bet there. I want to bet. And here, I flat with a pretty weak hand, aside from the suited ace. And my opponent checks, and I bet. And I think that targeting weakness, watching when your opponents are checking to give up and just taking that down is such a huge part of Omaha, because it's possible to rep, anything, right? And what your opponent does, so you have to be careful not to check give up too much, to mix in some check raises, and to pay attention when your opponents are check folding, and just hit them with that, half pot, 2/3 pot bet, and just be relentless. So I'm going to cut this off here and switch to part 3. So thank you for watching. Please share your comments, criticism, suggestions on ways I can improve. Anything at all. I would love to hear from you. Just post in the comments or message me on 2+2.